take a standard lithium-based cell and you put a torch to it, it's going to explode like a bomb.
What's up, investors, and welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about MULN stock, Mullen Automotive. This is a video that I've been most requested to do over the past month. As you can see here, over the past 6 months, this stock has dropped like a rock and then began to gather a lot of retail investor interest based upon pure hype and speculation. I made a video right here warning investors about this stock and the level of lies being spread across social media. But was I wrong? Since I made that video, the stock went on an upward trajectory and the share price is still up over 200%. So the simple question is, was I wrong about Mullen Automotive? Well, I will straight up admit that the timing of this video was wrong. So many times you will see people buying and chasing these stocks that have already made huge gains and then get left holding when the price begins to drop. I literally warned people about the dump before the pump had even occurred. So was I wrong about what I said about Mullen? No, I was not. I warned about all these red flags that are there, but I also stated clearly that I would not touch this stock either long or short, because anything can happen when you have such an extreme level of retail interest and lies being spread. In this video, I will explain to you why this is one of the stocks that you should avoid at all costs, and why the story that you are being told across StockTwits, Discord and YouTube about the company being grossly undervalued is simply quite wrong. If anything, this stock is grossly overvalued and will continue to drop all the way back down, and I will explain everything in this video. Now, I know a lot of you won't like to hear what I have to say about Mullen stock, but sometimes the truth hurts. But if you do like this video, then smash the like button and consider subscribing. If you disagree with anything that I say, leave me a comment and tell me how you think that I am wrong. I would gladly tell you the facts to back up what I say. As always, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Now let's get into it. So as of today, yet another law firm has announced that they are investing claims on behalf of investors of Mullen Automotive concerning whether Mullen and certain of its officers and or directors have engaged in securities fraud or other unlawful business practices. Now this comes on the back of a recent short seller report released by Hindenburg Research. Now, first of all, I have to say a few things about Hindenburg. These guys are generally hated by retail investors. The fact that they are short sellers is bad enough, but then they are being investigated about their short seller activities too. Just because they are not liked does not mean that they are wrong. Personally, I feel that they are right in this case. Now, let me be clear, I do not like shorts. I've never shorted a stock in my life and I still won't. So Hindenburg Research called Mullen among the worst electric vehicle hustles that Hindenburg has ever seen, comparing it to Nikola and Lordstown Motors. Hindenburg observed that despite only spending $3 million in R&D in 2021, Mullen claims its solid-state battery technology is on track for commercialization in 18 to 24 months, putting it ahead of every major technology and automaker in the industry who have collectively invested billions. Now look at this. This was mentioned in my last video. R&D costs includes an impairment charge in the amount of $1.1 million for the 3 months ended December 31st, 2021. R&D expenses primarily consist of costs associated with the development of the Mullen 5 show car. Now, I highly doubt that the remaining $2 million has been solely spent on battery development and then they are suddenly stopped. In terms of the EV industry, they have spent pennies on R&D, but they claim to have the most state-of-the-art technology in the world. Just listen to this from David Mitry himself in his recent interview.
Our solid-state polymer battery, we rated it at 300 amp hours. We tested it here in the US, tested at 343 amp hours at 4.3 volts. I'm going to put it in perspective for you. That is literally unbelievable. I mean, to the point to where the United States Department of Energy was like amazed with the results. More importantly than those results, degradation. Here's the key that the other guy didn't key on. Degradation. When you take a typical lithium cell that's either lithium sulfur, lithium ion, phosphate, lithium magnesium, cobalt, you take any standardized chemistry, degradation after 5,000 cycles is about 80%. Degradation after 100,000 cycles on our solid-state polymer cell was 2%, meaning a flat line across, 2%. That is where you have what we call the paradigm shift, right? That, to me, is the difference. Now, let's talk about safety. You could take a torch, right? I heard some comments about heat and 1,000 degrees. Listen, here's the bottom line. You could take a torch and burn a hole right through our cell, and we have tests demonstrating that. Put a hole right through it and nothing will happen. You take a standard lithium-based cell and you put a torch to it, it's going to explode like a bomb. You take standard cell and you throw it in some salt water, watch what happens. You're gonna have a pretty nice fire. You take our cell, you dip it in some salt water, leave it there for a couple of days, take it out, hook it up, it works fine. So not only is it safe, when it comes time to repurpose it or it comes time to dispose of it, it's not considered dangerous goods. And that's the key here. So it's safe, it's efficient, and it costs about 50% less than standard chemistry to produce, and it occupies 50% of the space. So all I think are, hey, this could be a major paradigm shift.
Wow, we are talking about the greatest battery tech the world has ever seen, produced for only a couple of $1 million. This really makes me wonder what other companies are spending their billion-dollar budgets on. Over at Tesla, Elon Musk has become the richest man in the world. He has revolutionized the EV sector for over a decade. In his spare time, he has even managed to revolutionize space travel, cutting costs tenfold, and even make reusable rockets. But despite massive billion-dollar R&D budgets, could not do what Mullen have managed to do with only $2 million. The Hindenburg report also alleged that the CEO of EV Grid refuted a press release issued by Mullen regarding test results for its battery, stating, we would never have said that. We never did say it, and certainly wouldn't have said it based on the results of testing that battery. Now, over the past week, I've been getting a lot of comments again saying that it was proven that the Hindenburg report was wrong and that EV Grid's CEO, Tom Gage, has come out in an interview and has said that Hindenburg lied. So let's take a look at what was actually said.
But your thoughts on the Hindenburg report, or do you want to comment at all about it?
Well, sure. I did look through the report, and he covered a lot of ground. But I want to clarify, when he called me, I did remember testing it, but I couldn't remember the results or how we tested it or when actually. But I did find the report that we submitted to Mullen on the testing, and it was a legit test. Test results we got showed that the battery had 343 amp hours of capacity, which is a lot of capacity for a single cell. But then again, it was a very large in physical size, so I think the results are believable. We only did one cycle on the cell because our equipment was for lower current testing. So that one cycle took almost 30 hours. So it was a very slow discharge, which tends to give you a larger capacity. But I think the capacity is legit. The number we have is legit for a slow discharge. So we did test the battery for Mullen. We were doing some other work on some other packs for them, and they delivered this one cell for us to test, which we did test, and we can talk about the results of that. The 600-mile number, I mean, that's just that's a number that depends on how big the car is, how big the battery is, and how efficient the drivetrain and aerodynamics are. So it's quite possible to do it until it's done under, observed conditions. You don't really know what you're talking about, but if you put enough battery in a car, it can go 600 miles.
If you put enough battery in a car, it will go 600 miles. Well, that could be said about any EV battery. Mullen have provided one cell for one cycle. Yet, as we've seen a moment ago, David Mitry was talking about his batteries doing 100,000 cycles. First of all, this was a very large battery in physical size, being tested with equipment not designed for this level of current, and the discharge was over 30 hours. Now, it's no secret that the harder you drive a vehicle, the more energy that will be used, whether that is an EV or a petroleum-based vehicle, so I don't feel that a slow burn over 30 hours gives a true reflection. If the results are that fantastic, why have Mullen not brought Tom Gage back in to do a full test using the correct equipment and make a huge press release out of it? Surely that would make sense. If their technology is so groundbreaking, then this would provide huge confidence in the stock, and it would really shut me up about their technology too. Like, only this week, NASA and Nissan are teaming up to develop better solid-state batteries, but why should they bother? Mullen's technology is already miles ahead. Now, one thing that I forgot to mention is that Hindenburg opened a short position in this stock before issuing the report, and that has got a lot of people giving out about manipulation in the stock market. But is it really that surprising? Ask yourself, is it really that much different from all YouTube videos from major YouTubers doing due diligence about stocks that they have in their portfolios? Drop me a comment and let me know what you think about finance YouTube in general. Do you find it helpful, or do you think that everyone has a hidden agenda? But before this Hindenburg short report was even issued, in that interview with Benzinga, David Mitry also talked about a huge contract for their Class 1 vehicle with a Fortune 500 company.
I am seeing a lot of questions just about the vans. Do you have an update on the vans?
Sure. Again, we released the public information not too long ago that we're going to be delivering our Class 1 vehicle in the second quarter of this year. We're excited about that. We can't disclose to who. That hasn't been publicly made available yet, but we plan on doing that shortly, and we plan on announcing that it is a very large company that is going to buy a lot of these vehicles. We feel that we have a great product. We feel that this product is going to be very competitive, and it's competitive in a time when people can't really get product, and we'll have product to deliver. What's nice about what we're doing it here in America. We're doing it in Tunica, Mississippi, and we're going to show the world that the dependency on outside entities no longer exists, and we can do it ourselves here in America.
Is that order confirmed? That's not like a pre-order, right? That's like a signed seal.
No. We're actually building for them. So
okay,
we're excited. We're going to deliver the pilot vehicles to them in the second quarter, as we stated, and we're excited about it. This is a major Fortune 500 company. I'll put it that way.
Now, this interview sent the stock soaring on the day, but it has been falling back since then. So why is that? Well, first of all, there is no money being spent on manufacturing in the company's recent financials. So how the hell are they going to develop these vehicles if they have not been manufacturing them? So here is some very interesting information that was provided to me in the comments of my previous Mullen stock video. This is the Mullen Class 1 vehicle van from the Mullen website. And this is the Yangtze electric cargo van in the Chinese city of Wuhan. This is identical, right down to the wheels. Something that David Mitchery spoke about when it came to the Mullen 5 was the focus on the wheels, so it's interesting that they put no focus at all into the wheels of the cargo van. Then we have the Class 2 van. This has nicer wheels. But wow, doesn't this look familiar too? Here is the Taifeng Akai, which is also in China. This looks identical. And there is a Reddit post here discussing this fact, which is worth checking out. If Mullen has actually developed this van, then Mullen should seriously be suing these guys. This is exactly the same design, it's the same van, but Mullen are 100% American and will not be using Chinese vehicles, right?
Well, we'll use suppliers domestically. Our focus really is to create a supply chain that consists of companies located here in the U.S. and not have a dependency on Chinese or foreign entities that would potentially restrict the flow of not just chips, but any type of products that we would use in our vehicle. The entire ecosystem from beginning to end for us, meaning Mullen, not just the industry, is going to be American. Not only are we going to build this car in Tunica, Mississippi, we're also going to create the supply chain from Detroit all the way down into Florida, right down that automotive corridor.
Which leads me on to another comment from one of my viewers. This is the Mullen Dragonfly, the high-performance sports car, which is on the website says coming soon. And this is an article from June 2020. Mullen banks on Chinese electric sports car and going public. Now, as we know, the going public bit has already happened back in November, and Mullen maintains that the model will arrive in the US in the second quarter of 2021, but it also plans to sell a battery electric SUV called the MX-5 in the second or third quarter of 2021. All of these models have a common trend. They are currently developed or under development and sold in China. Mullen claims that its business model reduces vehicle development from the industry standard 4 years down to 17 months. 17 months would have been Q4 2021. So everything that I hear from this company seems to contradict something else that I've heard from the company. Everyone seems to be talking about Mullen being this all-American EV company that's going to do all the work in America and produce everything in the United States without any need to be outsourcing to the likes of China, but every vehicle so far that they've mentioned seems to be sourced from China, except for the Mullen 5, which I have spoke about in my previous video, so go check that out. And I really think that there are too many red flags to even get into this fully in a short YouTube video. If you look on social media, you will see link after link being shared on Mullen pages like this one on StockTwits. Most of the articles either have nothing to do with Mullen or are simply pumping the stock. Look at the amount of posts from accounts that have been set up over the past month or two that are averaging 40, maybe 50, up to 100 posts a day about Mullen. Ask yourself, do you post 40 or 50 posts a day about any stock, and why would you even want to do this? Whenever I see a bearish comment on StockTwits, there's always a ton of comments saying that this is a paid basher. But to be honest, I think there are far more paid pumpers than bashers. Like for example, this comment, Mullen Automotive's earnings are expected to grow from 19 cents to 75 cents per share in the next year, which is a 294% increase. Considering the level of dilution, this is highly unlikely. And when you click on the link, there's nothing on this page to suggest those numbers at all. Another story to pump this stock is the partnership between Mullen and Comau. Now, I'm not saying that this does not exist, just look on their website, it says it right here. There is a partnership. I'm just saying that it's irrelevant. The companies are teaming up on the build out of an automotive body shop at Mullen's manufacturing facility in Tunica, Mississippi. Total expansion plans for this include a 1.2 million square foot of body shop, paint shop and general assembly. They are joining forces to develop the state-of-the-art body shop for the new and upcoming Mullen 5 crossover. Let's be honest, just because you have a facility does not guarantee that anything is ever going to be produced. And the partnership has nothing to do with the actual production of the vehicles. I really can't see why people are pumping this partnership recently, except for the fact that they are using it to try and say that Amazon is the Fortune 500 company that are buying Mullen Automotive Class 1 cargo vans. And the fact here is that their parent company is Stellantis, who have done a deal with Amazon for thousands of electric vans. Now that is totally true. Stellantis do have a deal with Amazon. But what's not being shared is that Mullen's deal with Comau is just for the development of its facilities, not its vehicles. While Stellantis is actually the 6th largest auto manufacturer in the world. Stellantis owns 16 brands such as Chrysler, Citroen, Dodge, Jeep, Maserati, and as you can see here, a hell of a lot more. They have over 300,000 employees, a presence in more than 130 countries and manufacturing facilities in 30 countries. Before I get into my final points, guys, take a look at my other recent Mullen Automotive video, where I went into a lot of red flags, far more than I have in this video, including a better look at the company's financials and the Mullen management team. That is well worth watching. There is a link to this here and a link to the Hindenburg report in the description. And if you enjoy this honest approach to stocks that tries to expose the lies that are being spread, then consider supporting the channel and take a look at my Patreon page. Another example of the hype is that Mullen expects to report in excess of $65 million in cash and cash equivalents when it files its Form 10Q. Again, in my last video, I showed how Mullen had only $360 on its balance sheet, so this is a big increase. This was used to pump the stock. But guys, this is terrible. First of all, at what cost did this come at? Mullen had a market cap of less than $30 million when I made my last video. Now they have a market cap of over $500 million. That is a massive dilution. The share price has 3x'd, yes it has, but the market cap is closer to 20x. And for what? $65 million. The net loss alone for the last quarter was over $36 million. So $65 million is nothing in this industry. Now, something that I do notice, mostly on StockTwits and Twitter, is that Mullen gets compared a lot to Fisker for some reason. Probably because neither one of them have actually sold any EVs to date, but these are completely different. For example, although Fisker's share price is currently over $12, they have a market cap of $3.5 billion, but they also have $1.2 billion in cash. That is a massive cash reserve compared to their market cap of only $3.5 billion. Even Lordstown Motors, that Hindenburg also did a short seller report on at one point, which has now dropped to a similar share price and market cap as Mullen, being $250, and the market cap of under $500 million. But even Lordstown have multiple times cash on hand that Mullen has, coming in at $240 million. $65 million is not worth talking about in this industry, and before anyone decides to comment about the $450 million loan application, let's take a look at something. Successful consumer EV market study reveals Mullen 5 scores high against the Model Y and the Ford Mach-E. Results from the 6-month EV market exploration study and conceptual benchmark test indicate that the Mullen 5 is conceptually highly competitive with the Model Y and Ford Mach-E. Results will support Mullen's US Department of Energy ATVM loan application of $450 million. Now, I talked about this study in my previous video. This is direct from Mullen's own website, so check this out if you think that I'm not being truthful. Yes, the report says that the Mullen 5 compares favorably to the Tesla and Ford, but this is a study done by GoGrow, a consulting firm paid by Mullen to produce this report. I really cannot see any way that Mullen will get the $450 million, especially if this report has any influence on it. But that is just my opinion. So guys, what do you realistically think about Mullen Automotive? Do you agree or disagree with my analysis, or are you happy to gamble on this stock at the current price and hope for the best? I usually don't do this type of video, but once again, I'm seeing so much crap talk out there that I felt this needed to be said. I see a lot of similarities between this stock right now and other stocks that have gone before it, such as Lordstown Motors or Nikola, but most similar to OZSC, Overhyped Energy Solutions, which I talked about before. It's the same type of hype, and I expect the same type of outcome. Check out my videos in the links below. Drop me a comment and let me know what you really think. Remember to show your support for the channel and hit the like button if you have enjoyed this video. And if you're new, consider subscribing and have a blessed weekend.